Trump has no plan to disclose shit. He just said we're going to drill for gasoline and make more cars. I'm done. Going to go drink myself to oblivion. While back in junior high I woke up with the most perfect triangle shape of a scratch on my chest. And I mean perfect, lines were clean and everything. I vividly remember that. Any ideas on what that could have been from, like a demon or something? Apparently everyone has had the exact same response to the News Nation special report, which is to post their disappointment and ridicule as to the footage that was released. The effect is to render as laughable any opinion contrary to the fire hose of insults that followed the airing of the segment. But that effect is neutralized as soon as the mechanism behind it is illuminated. The driving force behind this tsunami of bad faith reactions is a coordinated ridicule campaign. It is the same tactic used by Gov. Fife Symington following the Phoenix Lights incident. It is the same tactic used against Pulitzer Prize winner John Mack of Harvard when he dedicated his career to interviewing abductees. In the light of history, it is obvious that ridicule is the only real tool available to the architects of the UFO cover-up, which has hidden the very nature of reality from taxpayers for the better part of the last century. You are free to consider the question of non-human intelligence without fear of any real and meaningful damage to your reputation or mental health. Ridicule campaigns like the one currently consuming this sub have failed, and recent polls suggest the public is keenly aware that non-human intelligence exists and has been interacting with humanity for a very long time. Every Sunday, I have an hour-long call with my uncle wherein we normally discuss biblical or church stuff. I'm a religious skeptic but do a sort of Christian atheism thing due to my fascination with Jesus, and last night was no different. We opened the call with nice pleasantries, and since I had just returned home from a date night with my wife, the topic of love languages came up and he asked what mine was, blah, blah. I told him that I wasn't too familiar with it, but I described what makes me feel comforted. Sometimes, I like it when I can just lie my head in my wife's lap and she babies me by running her hands through my scalp hair and she dotes words of love on me. Things my mom used to do when I was younger. My mom died when I was 13 and it's not like I have mommy issues, but I do appreciate that maternal affection. Go ahead. Judge me. Anyways, I was explaining this to him, maybe a bit defensively. I wasn't sure if he'd get it. I'll be 43 next month. He wasn't in our family when she died. I didn't know if he'd understand what I mean by how I want to be babied sometimes, but that I miss my mom's soothing affection, and my wife seemingly gets that and gives me those moments when I need them. Anyways, after those pleasantries we get into the meat of the conversation and we're getting deep into the theological weeds, and then, the music box played 3 notes. I did not immediately make any connection. I just asked him if he heard that, and my daughter, in the other room believing I was asking her, said yeah. So, my daughter witnessed it alongside me. I ran into our bedroom and asked my wife if she experienced it, and alas, she didn't. Regardless, my mom's music box, which hadn't been touched or even so much as dusted in months, played 3 notes within 40 minutes of me expressing that I missed her maternal affection. I've since called grandma, brother, and aunt, and they've all been comforted by it. So, not exactly, like, uh-oh, scary story, or I saw a ghost, but a genuine experience with my mom's favorite music box. Hi guys. Finally got around to watching the full News Nation episode on YouTube after reading all the negative comments in here all day. Just opening a discussion point here, and don't want to go on and on, but to me this much is pretty clear. The point of this episode and whistleblower has nothing to do with the egg video. That is a tiny detail. To me, this episode is 100% about sending a message to the higher than Congress's contractors that manage the whole cover-up. It says to them, we have a highly experienced, effective, and talented team working right now to expose you. We already know who some of you are and how you work. We are going to find all of you and make you accountable. Personally, I want to thank Jake Barber for what he is doing and wish him every success. P.S. if you read this far and are able, ignore the fuss over the egg video. It's irrelevant at this point. Hi, I'm a programmer who likes taking walks, and sometimes on my walks something very strange happens. I'm not sure if this is even the correct place to post this, but I feel like I've gone through other avenues, like speaking to mental health professionals, who told me this is not a mental health related problem. And I was wondering if anyone has experienced or knows anyone who experienced something similar, or at least if someone has some explanation about what is happening to me. I'd really like to hear, because I feel like I'm losing my mind. The problem: when I'm out on my walks with my dog, occasionally I will be hit with what feels like a distant memory. The odd thing is, the memory is of the current place and, seemingly, the current time period. However, the memory feels ancient, even impossibly old, given I'm only 33 and these memories feel like they are from earlier than that. Not only that, I have no words to describe how high definition that memory is, and how weirdly interactive it is. The only way I can describe it is by comparing our reality to that of a PlayStation 1 game. This reality looks like a badly rendered PlayStation 1 game by comparison. The place in the memory is of the same place, but there's so much feelings of belonging, home, and love that resonate strongly from the memories. So what about it? The memories seem to not be tied to an event or person, but they're tied to places and smells, and triggered by places and smells. They come with a deeper sense of home and belonging and love than anything I can usually remember, a stronger sense of familiarity, an overwhelming happiness to be back, or so the emotions would indicate. In the past, they were just flashes of picture filled with layers of emotion, and now the memories can last up to around 10 seconds, or so, and I can look around and remember things that are impossible, but when I leave the immersion, I forget them, like a dream. But I remember having remembered them, even if I don't remember them now. Makes sense? Doesn't make any sense to me, anyway. My thoughts? Well, initially I thought I am going crazy, time to talk to a mental health professional. Since they assured me it doesn't sound mental health related, and sounds like a strong imagination, I started finding out what else it could be, since I know for a fact I could not have willingly imagined such a higher definition place because it seems impossible to imagine until you saw it. And so, it seems to line up uncomfortably well with simulation theory, but if it's a simulation then it feels like this reality has bugs or is breaking apart slowly in general. I would personally rather it were mental health problems or even something paranormal than a breaking down simulation, for obvious reasons. But I do feel like this world feels less and less real to me every time it happens, which happens 2 or 3 times a week, always on my walks, and always triggered by a combination of location and smell. There seems to be no reoccurring spot and I cannot reproduce it purposefully. Please give me your thoughts, if you know anything or if this sounds like something familiar or similar to something, please tell me what you think it could be, or even ideas how to trigger it to happen again or to keep me there for longer. Because 10 seconds is not enough each time. I just want to feel that sensation of home, belonging and love again, but I am unknowing and distrustful of what is even happening. Seen my dead grandfather in person next to me and he didn't look like himself. Hi, so I was on my way to work, I was fully rested, I felt great, everything was going well until I got to the train. When I got on I started feeling eerie and creeped out. It was a random feeling that came over me. It stood like that for a few minutes and when I looked up there he was holding onto a pole looking at me. He didn't smile, he didn't say anything to me, just stared. He did not look like himself, he looked dead and disfigured. It scared me, I started crying, I looked away and he was gone. I need to understand what this means. I keep getting an eerie feeling ever since that encounter, like there's something off. Please help, am I going insane or what? Thank you so much for any response or reply. I just need some guidance on this first time where this has happened to me. He passed away 11 years ago. Trump was asked 2 weeks ago about the mystery drones, and said, "I'm gonna give you a report on drones about 1 day into the administration." He indicated that Biden's White House and the military knew what they were. 3 days ago, he was asked again, and instructed Susie Wiles, his chief of staff, to get him the answers. We're on day 5. So where's the statement? This actually happened. I have to preface this with saying that because a lot of people do make up stories, and this absolutely is not made up. So one night it's raining heavily in my area, and I mean it's just pouring water out the sky. It's raining so hard that anybody even walking for 2 seconds would absolutely be soaking wet. It's 12 a.m. and I was about to go to sleep when I felt the sudden urge to look outside my window down below, and I see this very old man with a beard just standing in the rain by himself, pouring rain. I felt worried about him because I thought maybe he's having trouble, but he's standing dead still just staring forward, and so I immediately think, let me go down and ask him if he needs help. I'm not even thinking it's paranormal at all, lol. So but before I even go down I say, let me take a picture of him just in case, maybe he's sketchy, maybe it might help in case police or ambulance needed to help him out if he's like delirious or walked out of a nursing home. So I take out my phone, open the camera app, I'm not on any drugs either, BTW. Aim the camera at him, and as I go to press the capture button below, I press it, the picture snapping sound clicks on my phone, my screen flashes as it does any other time when I take any single other pic, as I have millions of times before. The old man literally turns into a blue ball of light, shoots up very fast. Up to me on the 3rd floor, straight through my window and directly into my phone's camera, and the picture never even saved. It's like whatever it was didn't want me taking a picture and prevented my phone's electronics from ever saving that pic. And so also, mind you, I'm not schizophrenic, and a great way to tell if it's a hallucination is to take out a camera phone and point it at your hallucination, and if it doesn't show up on the camera it's a hallucination, and guess what? He was on the camera the whole time. To this very fucking day I have no idea what it was, but that was cool. Whatever it was didn't want me snapping a photo. Now I wish I went down and interacted. I like paranormal stuff, LMAOO. Men in Black. Did they disappear? From the sheer amount of sightings and anomalous activity going on right now, to the congressional hearings, you would think they would have made a presence at some point. I remember Anna Paulina Luna saying she got Men in Black when attempting to get access to certain data. What do you think? Hi, I've lived in the Pacific Northwest for my entire life and was surrounded by legends of things that we can't explain. But my close friend that is native told me stories about stick Indians or something that would mimic your friends or family in the woods. Probably like a skinwalker? I need to know what that is. I don't know what to make of that. I've never seen or heard a stick Indian myself, but that seems interesting. Also, my friend told me if you go to a place called Indian Hill on the res and blink your lights at a certain time of night, you might hear horse gallops and lights coming towards you. Me and my friend talked about this in my high school years, but I finally got the nerve to write about it. Also, a side note, my grandfather, who was a timber cruiser, said he saw a creature that resembled a Bigfoot. He might have been a bullshitter, but this was over 30 years ago, and told my mom he swore he could smell something nasty before he saw it. Anyways, I hope someone has a similar story. Thanks. Has anyone else experienced waking up when they feel their body hit the bed as if you had just been floating above it? This has happened to me for as long as I can remember, in my 40s. For context, I, 26 female, met my boyfriend, 26 male, 2 years ago at a bar. We were old high school acquaintances and he bought my drinks that night. We ended up going back to my place and we now live at his place, which he didn't live at the time we met. Okay, now to the glitch. This morning when we woke up and came out of the bedroom, same time, I notice a piece of paper on the floor. It had not been there the night before, as I was the last to bed, and I definitely would have seen it and picked it up. I see that it's a receipt for our local bar. I'm confused because these are drinks that we wouldn't have ordered recently. Then I look at the date. It was the night my BF and I met. No idea how this receipt got here because we'd met 2 years ago and he'd gone straight to my house that night. He didn't even live at the house we live at now during that time. I also remember what he was wearing that night, and he's worn those clothes so many times since that night, so it's not like it fell out of a pocket. Also, how did it just appear outside of the door? And how did it for 2 years? So weird and cool. Just wanted to share and hear any thoughts or theories. Well, we did get what we expected. This is a joke. Between Jake Barber and his mentioning of discussion with venture capitalists, Lou talking about how Trump would save the day. This has become the biggest joke on the American population known to mankind. I truly feel for those who may have lost their lives to bring this to light, but I don't feel sorry for the grifters that are continually to perpetuate and gaslight. Society won't change. Hopefully a reset will be in store, including those rich assholes in bunkers. I think I'll take my chances on watching more for 4chan leaks than anything. At least they aren't asking for money. Giving some tidbits. Hell, I like them even if they are LARPing. There is no more steps for mankind. Hi, in November I posted about my experience on a warship from World War II that happened to me on a date with my partner. I do have an update. Ever since I saw what I assume was a soldier from that time period in the engine room of the ship, activity has picked up. My partner and I have constantly been plagued by nightmares of the soldier after our visit of the ship. In our nightmares the soldier is screaming at us to help him. It has gotten to the point of where I have had sleep paralysis a handful of times since my visit. But my partner, who's in the military, just left for his next station, so now it's just me, and things have picked up. The nightmares have become more intense, more vivid and more real feeling. If that makes sense. I'm not sure what we brought into our lives, but it's scaring the piss out of me. His challenge coins that he gave me have slid off my dresser in front of my eyes. I'm not too sure what's going on, or what I should do. What do you guys think is going on?
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army. Army officers say the missile...
The earth is not flat, it's hollow, and there's Nazis in it. Shit, if that's true, you're probably gonna find me in it, vibing while we fry Hasidics, ashes in the sky's the limit. I'm just rhyming with it. This is my demented mind, and y'all just climbed up in it. Every now and then I can get retarded.
Like, share, subscribe, and be sure to check the notification bell. Follow the Atomic Shaman on Twitter at Motel and RV Park. Listen to Paranormal Green Text Stories on Atomic Shaman TTS on YouTube. Catch the live streams of Atomic Shaman Sweat Lodge only on Rumble.